Hey guys, we are going to dive into actually one of my favorite conversations today, which is talking about the microbiome. This is the real deal, guys. Like, this is something you may have actually started hearing about, or you are a little bit more comfortable. It's funny because 8 years ago, when I went into this type of education with Dante and we recovered, his illness, this is where all of the focus was on supporting the microbiome. It is mind-blowing to me the amount of education, research that is showing what I back then only believed was true. It wasn't even like it had been proven, but a lot of studies still weren't out. And so I want to talk about this amazing thing. Now, it's only going to be about a 5 to 10 minute chat, but be aware that I do have an entire microbiome masterclass, and we do cover parts of the microbiome and gut health in the Conscious Detox. So if you want more education on that, you can either reach out or you could just hit up my website at www.nataliepelto.com. Anyways, going to share my screen. We know the goods. We know what's going to happen here. And here we are. So what an image that you guys have to look at. It's okay, it won't be for long. But I really do have to share how important this is, okay? So a couple of really cool things about your gut is that it actually has more neurons than your brain. And that means that there is constant information being shared from your gut to your brain and vice versa via the vagus nerve, a nerve that goes down your spine. But just note that that means that your gut has actually been renamed the second brain. That is how important what it does is. And so when we are born, we actually get to have our microbiomes created from in vitro, and specifically as we're going through the birth canal, which is one of the reasons why children who are actually born via C-section generally don't always have the same type of microbiome as if they had a vaginal birth. But I'll tell you a little thing that's I heard that doctors are now doing with this knowledge. There is often a sweep that can happen inside the birth canal, and then with a towel, it could be wiped across the baby's face. Now, some of you guys might think that's really gross, but in all honesty, if it means that your child will have less allergies, less illnesses, less chances of developmental delays, wouldn't you want that to happen for your child? Absolutely. You would absolutely do it. I could tell you, even if you're a guy, you don't even know. So the microbiome is where we store immunity, metabolism. It is actually so powerful that it actually delegates whether a medication will work for you. Example, chemotherapy doesn't work for everyone. It's actually all dependent on how your microbiome reacts to it and allows it to impact your body. Think of it as you are the ecosystem, you are a planet that houses an ecosystem that keeps you alive, and vice versa. So your microbiome is so important that if you die, it dies, and if it dies, you die. So this is where we're seeing the problem. Okay, so we talked about where our toxins are. We talked about their impacts on the body in the toxic bucket. But where, how? And then I talked about 3 very specific toxins, and it was very on purpose that I talked about glyphosate. So glyphosate itself is known to completely destroy the villi, which are the ridges that are inside of our bowels. And on top of that villi, like where it kind of that is residing constantly in the gut, kind of floating around, is this microbiome. So what is it? It is a compilation of bacteria, fungi, and viruses, and then a few other things just recently discovered. But think of it as it's housing billions to trillions of species, or sorry, thousands of species, but billions of them. So there are almost, even though they're smaller, there are almost as many of them in you and on you as you are of yourself cellularly. So that's a powerful statement. It is amazing to know that we work in synergy with another being. And when that being is bombarded by toxicity of any kind, it will get hurt. And when it gets hurt, it dies. And when it dies, we die. And I'm going to show you guys that tomorrow a little bit more. I want you to understand that you house your immunity and your microbiome. And in a time where we are going to, at some point, likely be exposed to this virus that is in a pandemic form in our collective. This is where the magic happens to keep us very, very healthy. It also is what I've learned just in the last couple of days, and there's actually I believe peer-reviewed studies for this. I was listening to a chat from my school talking about how prebiotics and probiotics can actually increase both vaccine effectiveness, but not only that, also help with those who have suffered from COVID and are considered long haulers. So please be aware of the importance of what this system can do. If you are suffering from any type of illness, especially chronic, especially something like cancer or diabetes, high blood pressure, weight gain, autism, looking at children, especially with all of their learning disabilities, start to protect and give them things to support their microbiome and watch the body change. This is not me saying things that are a possibility. This is where the health of the body is, okay? So we have in Western culture especially, and actually throughout the world, we have spent a lot of time breaking the body apart, getting into the nitty gritty. We have specialists for almost every organ. And one thing that we've noticed is that when lifestyle is addressed, that is when, and what lifestyle does is look at the body as a whole, right? It creates, so once nutritional deficiencies are addressed, once toxicity is removed, and we see the body work as a system instead of a broken apart piece, right? So the gut is like, think of it as the central of the system. It is linked to literally everything, right? It's linked to our liver. In some ways, it's linked to our kidneys. It's linked to our blood system. It's now, we know, linked to our brain. So think of ourselves not as a computer or maybe a fine-tuned machine, that basically that area is what allows for the magic to happen in the sense of nutritional absorption. All the things that make us run happen there. And so if that gut wall is depleted and we start to have toxicity reabsorb, so for those of you who don't know this, the story of your poo will give you more information than any blood test probably that you don't have to pay for, right? So the quality, the timing, the amount, all of that tells you so much about your health. And that is, again, something we dive into deep into the conscious detox. But this is just a little taster. I hope you guys enjoyed this chat to understand that the microbiome is your best friend. It's also all over your skin and all over your body, but most of it, the bulk of it, resides in your gut. So I hope you like this chat. I hope that it kind of didn't gross you out too much, but these chats are important. And then I'll meet you tomorrow for our almost last chat. And we're going to dive into gene expression and epigenetics and toxicity. Don't worry, you'll understand it by the end of it. Talk to you guys soon.